July 3, 1956, 11:47 p.m. Officer Patrick "Patty" O'Brien was 6 weeks into his first assignment at the 28th Precinct in Harlem. His captain had warned him bluntly, "Survive Harlem, and you can survive anywhere." But survival wasn't coming easily. For 30 years, the NYPD had treated Harlem like enemy territory: harassment, brutality, corruption. Why would anyone trust a cop, especially a white cop? Tonight, Patty walked his beat alone. Detective Sullivan had called in sick, leaving him to patrol 125th Street by himself. He tried to appear confident, but each step echoed his unease. Then he heard them before he saw them, 5 men emerging from a dark alley, surrounding him like predators. Young, angry, full of distrust. "You lost," one demanded. "I'm just walking my beat," Patty said, keeping his voice calm, though his hands shook. "This ain't your beat. This is our neighborhood," another spat. "I'm just doing my job," Patty replied. "Your job is harassing us," the first man shot back. "I've never harassed anyone," Patty said, trying to reason. "Your uniform has, for 30 years. Patty's hand moved toward his radio. "Don't," another warned, pulling a knife. "We just want to talk." Patty backed up, scanning for an escape. There wasn't one. "Look, I don't want trouble." "Too late. You're wearing that badge, that makes you the enemy." Before Patty could react, the knife lunged at him. He barely dodged, pulling his gun instinctively. "Stop," he shouted. The men didn't. A shot rang out into the night, not at them, but into the air. A warning. The men hesitated. Patty's heart pounded. He was about to fire again when a calm, commanding voice sliced through the chaos. "Stop." Everyone froze. From the shadows, a man stepped forward, older, well-dressed, calm. Bumpy Johnson. Harlem's most feared and respected criminal. The only person in this street who could make these men obey. "What's going on here?" Bumpy demanded. "We're teaching this cop a lesson," the man with the knife said. "By killing him." Bumpy's eyes narrowed. "He's one of them, and he's outnumbered 5-1. That's not a fight, that's a lynching." "This ain't your business," the man spat. "Yes, it is," Bumpy said coldly. "Everything in Harlem is my business." The knife wielder hesitated. Then, one by one, the men stepped back. Bumpy approached Patty. "You okay, officer?" Patty nodded, still shaking. "You should go home. It's not safe tonight." "I can't. I've got 3 more hours on my shift." Bumpy gave him a long look and walked away. Patty couldn't understand why a criminal would save a cop, but he was grateful. 11:52 p.m., 5 minutes later, Patty continued his patrol. Turning down a side street, he heard footsteps behind him. The same 5 men from before. "We're not done," one growled. "Bumpy told you to leave," Patty shouted. "Bumpy's not here anymore," they said, and rushed him. 5 against 1. They knocked him down, kicked him, punched him, stole his gun. Pain radiated through his body. Dr. Chen's clinic became Patty's sanctuary. Bruised ribs, split lip, black eye, nothing broken, but enough to remind him how close he'd come. "You're lucky," she said, glancing at Bumpy, "that I know why you're alive." Patty swallowed hard. "I owe him." Bumpy's voice was calm. "Because it was right. You hate cops, I hate corrupt cops. There's a difference." "How do you know he's not corrupt?" Patty asked. "Corrupt cops don't walk Harlem alone at midnight. They travel in packs. They don't try to talk before shooting." Patty looked at him. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Bumpy said. "For what's coming. When your captain finds out I saved you, he's going to make your life hell." July 4, 1956, 8 a.m. Patty reported to Captain McBride, recounting the attack, Bumpy's intervention, and the doctor. McBride's face turned crimson with rage. "You went to a criminal's doctor," he barked. "I didn't have a choice," Patty said firmly. "Yes, you did. You could have died doing your duty, and instead, you let a Negro gangster save you. You're a disgrace to this uniform, sir," McBride spat. Humiliated, Patty walked to his locker. Whispers followed him, "The rookie saved by Bumpy Johnson." Detective Sullivan approached, disgust plain on his face. "You should have died," Sullivan said. "What better, die a hero than live as a coward who needed a Negro to save him?" Patty stood alone, heavy with shame, but a seed of resolve had been planted. July 5, 1956, Small's Paradise. Patty sought Bumpy out. "Officer O'Brien, what brings you here?" Bumpy asked, surprised. "I wanted to thank you properly," Patty said. "You already thanked me. I also wanted to ask you, why did you save me?" "For what's right. Not for a cop, for a person." Patty hesitated. "I don't know how to do this job. I became a cop to help people, but here, nobody wants my help. They hate my uniform. And I can't blame them." Bumpy nodded. "Then why stay? If I leave, nothing changes. The next cop will be worse, more racist, more brutal. But if I stay, maybe I can be different. Maybe I can prove not all cops are the enemy." Bumpy studied him. "You really believe that?" "I have to. If I don't, what's the point?" Bumpy leaned back. "Here's the deal. I'll give you a chance. A chance to prove you're different." "How?" Patty asked. "By protecting this community, not from it. From means treating people like criminals. For means treating them like humans. Learn the difference, and maybe you'll survive here, maybe even thrive." July 10, 1956. Patty's patrols changed. He walked with humility, not authority. He learned names: Mrs. Washington, who ran the corner store; Mr. Hayes, who swept the streets; Little Marcus, who sold newspapers. He stopped to listen, not interrogate. At first, suspicion lingered, but slowly, trust grew. Stories emerged: unreported thefts, domestic abuse, drug problems. Patty investigated quietly, solved cases without fanfare: a stolen bike returned, a domestic abuser arrested, a small-time dealer chased away. Word spread. "That white cop, he's different. He actually helps." Patty had survived Harlem. Not by force. Not by fear. But by learning what Bumpy Johnson already knew: respect couldn't be demanded, it had to be earned. 2 weeks after Bumpy Johnson saved him, Officer Patrick O'Brien received a call about shots fired on 132nd Street. He arrived to find a crowd gathered around a young black man bleeding from a gunshot to the leg. Without hesitation, Patty called for an ambulance and pressed on the wound, reassuring the man. "You're going to be okay," he said. The man's eyes widened with fear. "You're not going to arrest me?" "Why would I arrest you?" Patty replied. "I was running numbers." Patty kept his focus on the injury. "Right now, you're bleeding. That's more important than numbers." When the ambulance arrived, the man was taken safely. The crowd watched in awe. A white cop had just saved a black man's life without arresting him, without judgment, simply helping. That night, the story spread: Officer O'Brien is different. By August 1956, Bumpy called a meeting with Harlem's community leaders, Reverend Powell, business owners, numbers runners, telling them about the cop in the 28th precinct. "Officer Patrick O'Brien," he said, "he's different." "How different?" "He wasn't corrupt, didn't take bribes, didn't harass anyone, and actually helped the people." Reverend Powell asked, "Bumpy, do you trust him?" Bumpy paused. "I don't trust anyone completely, but I believe he's trying. That's more than I can say for any other cop." In September 1956, Patty's partner, Detective Sullivan, requested reassignment. He refused to work alongside the cop who had been saved by Bumpy Johnson. Patty was paired with Officer James Rodriguez, a Puerto Rican officer, also an outsider in the white-dominated force. Two minorities in a predominantly white police department, working in a black neighborhood, it shouldn't have worked. But it did, because both genuinely cared about serving the community. In October 1956, Patty responded to a domestic violence call. A husband was beating his wife. Patty arrested him, but the woman trembled in fear, whispering, "He'll kill me when he gets out." Patty knew this wasn't a case the law could fully protect. He called Bumpy. "I need help. There's a woman, her husband beats her. I arrested him, but she's scared he'll come back." Bumpy was silent for a moment. "You want me to protect her, just until she can get somewhere safe?" Patty asked. "Why would I do that?" "Because you said I should protect the community. This is protecting the community." Bumpy smiled. 2 days later, the woman was safely relocated to Philadelphia with family. The husband, when released, was confronted by Junie Bird, Bumpy's enforcer, with a clear warning, "Go near her, and you disappear." He never returned. Patty realized then that Bumpy's protection was more effective than the LAW.By November 1956, Captain McBride called Patty into his office. "O'Brien, I'm hearing things." "What kind of things?" "That you're working with Bumpy Johnson," the captain said. Patty corrected him, "I'm not working with him. I'm working for the community." "Same thing," McBride barked. "No, sir. Bumpy Johnson is a criminal, yes, but he's also respected here. More than we are." "That's because he's a criminal," McBride argued. "Or because he protects people, and we don't." Patty countered. McBride warned him he was walking a dangerous line. "O'Brien, stop," he said. "I can't," Patty replied. "Why not?" "Because someone has to build trust. And if not me, who?" Christmas Eve, December 1956. Patty walked his beat and saw families struggling, kids with no gifts, no food. He called Bumpy. "I need your help again." "You're making this a habit," Bumpy said. "I know, but it's Christmas, and there are families here with nothing." "What do you want me to do?" Bumpy asked. "Help me. Give them something." "Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do." Christmas morning, 50 families in Harlem woke to gifts, food, and warm clothes. Anonymous donations, but everyone knew it was Patty and Bumpy working together. Slowly, the community began to shift. Perhaps cops and criminals could coexist if both wanted the same thing, to protect people. January 1957, Patty's wife Maria was 8 months pregnant. Worried for her safety in Harlem, he confided in Bumpy. "Your wife is under my protection," Bumpy said. Patty went to thank him. "You don't have to," Bumpy said. "Yes, I do," Patty insisted. "Because you've earned it." Patty didn't fully understand, until February 14, when Maria went into labor. Stuck in traffic, she panicked. "It's too soon. We're not going to make it." Patty radioed for help. "This is Officer O'Brien. My wife is in labor, stuck at 125th in Lenox. Need assistance." 5 minutes later, 3 cars arrived. Bumpy's men cleared the streets and escorted Patty to the hospital. Maria delivered safely, a healthy boy. Patrick O'Brien Jr. Bumpy sent flowers and a note, "Welcome to Harlem, little Patty. You're under our protection." Patty cried reading it. March 1957, 9 months after Bumpy saved him, Patty was called to Captain McBride's office. A folder slid across the desk, a transfer to Queens, effective immediately. "Why?" Patty asked. "You've become too close to criminals here." "I'm close to the community." "Bumpy Johnson isn't the community, he's a criminal." "He's both, And that's the problem. You've lost objectivity. Crime in your sector is down 30% because you're letting them police themselves. No. I'm building trust. McBride gave an ultimatum: take the transfer or resign. Patty left, seeking Bumpy's counsel. Bumpy nodded. Expected. What do I do? Patty asked. I want to stay, but if I refuse, I lose my job. If I leave, Harlem gets another cop, probably worse. Then fight, Bumpy said. Make them explain why crime is down. Make them justify removing the most effective cop they have. March 15, 1957, Patty requested a meeting with Police Commissioner Walsh. In his office, Patty presented his case. Sir, in the 9 months I've been in Harlem, crime is down 30%, arrests are up, community complaints are down, and for the first time in years, people are cooperating with police. Walsh studied him. Impressive. But Captain McBride wants you transferred. Yes, sir, but I've built relationships with community leaders, including Bumpy Johnson. Walsh frowned. A criminal? Yes, sir. But he has more influence in Harlem than the NYPD. Work against him, we lose the community. Work alongside him, safety wins. It's community policing. Walsh thought long and hard. You really believe this? I've seen it work for 9 months. Walsh made his decision: Patty could stay, but would be monitored. Any hint of corruption, and he was done. Understood. I'm not protecting his operations. I'm protecting the community. Sometimes that overlaps. Walsh nodded. April 1957, Patty returned to Harlem. The community quietly celebrated. Officer O'Brien, the white cop who actually cared, was still there. Bumpy sent word: congratulations. You fought. You won. Patty visited him. Thank you. For what? Bumpy asked. For showing me how to do this job right. I didn't show you anything. You figured it out. Maybe. But you gave me the chance. That's all anyone ever needs, a chance. May 1958, 2 years after Bumpy saved Patty, a new threat emerged: heroin flooding Harlem, destroying families. Bumpy hated drugs, they killed communities. He declared war on dealers, running them out violently. Patty approached cautiously. We need to talk. You're beating and killing some of them. Yes. It's illegal. So is poisoning kids. I know. But there's a better way. Patty asked. Arrest them, he said. You can't arrest them all. No, but enough to make it unprofitable, risky. Eventually, they'll leave. If they don't, you handle it your way. Deal. Over the next 6 months, they worked together unofficially. Bumpy's people identified the dealers, Patty arrested them, built cases, sent them to prison. By December 1958, heroin in Harlem was down 60%, the community began to notice Officer O'Brien and Bumpy Johnson working together to fight drugs in Harlem. By January 1960, 4 years after Bumpy first saved him, Patty was promoted to detective, the first officer from the 28th Precinct to achieve such a rank in 10 years. Captain McBride was furious, but the results were undeniable. Patty's sector had the lowest crime rate in Manhattan, the highest community satisfaction, and the best arrest record. Detective O'Brien became a model for other precincts, studied for his methods of community policing, building trust, and working with local leaders, even controversial ones. By March 1963, 7 years after the incident, the civil rights movement was accelerating. Protests, marches, and tension between police and black communities were escalating across the country, yet Harlem remained unusually peaceful. Detective O'Brien had become a mediator, protecting protesters from violent counter-protesters and aggressive cops from other precincts. He became known as the cop who stood with the community. Reverend Powell gave a speech: "There are cops who brutalize us, cops who arrest us for demanding our rights, and then there's Detective Patrick O'Brien, who protects us. Who understands that justice means equality, who proves that not all cops are enemies. Standing in the back, Patty felt tears prick his eyes. This was why he had become a cop. In July 1964, Malcolm X spoke at a rally, and tensions were high. The NYPD wanted to shut it down, but Patty intervened. "Sir, Malcolm has a right to speak," he told his captain. "He's inciting violence." "No, he's exercising free speech. We can't shut this down without cause." Standing between the police and the crowd, Patty challenged orders directly. "If you want to disperse them, you'll have to go through me." He was suspended 2 weeks without pay, but it didn't matter, no protesters were harmed. Malcolm X personally thanked him. "Detective O'Brien, you risked your career for us." "Because it was right," Patty replied. Malcolm nodded. "You're the cop Bumpy saved. He was right about you. You're different." When his suspension ended in August 1964, the community celebrated his return at Small's Paradise. Bumpy hosted hundreds of people, black, white, Puerto Rican, all there to honor the cop. Raising a glass, Bumpy said, "8 years ago, I saved your life. Best decision I ever made." Patty raised his own glass. "Mr. Johnson, 8 years ago, you didn't just save my life. You taught me how to live it, by showing me that doing the right thing matters more than following orders." They shook hands, and the crowd erupted. A black criminal and a white cop, friends and allies, were proof that change was possible. In November 1965, a dangerous group of drug dealers tried to return to Harlem. They threatened Patty and his family, warning him to back off. He went to Bumpy. "They threatened Maria and little Patty," he said. Bumpy's face hardened. "Where are they now?" "The dealer's safe house, with my family." "Good. Keep them there." "What are you going to do?" "Handle it," Bumpy said. Patty hesitated. "I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Threaten my family, you threaten mine." Within 24 hours, the dealers were gone, some arrested by Patty's colleagues, some convinced to leave by Bumpy's men, and some disappearing entirely. Patty never asked what happened to the last group. Maria and little Patty returned home safe, protected. By January 1968, 12 years after Bumpy had saved him, the man's health was failing. Heart problems slowed him down at age 63. Patty visited often, bringing food, sharing stories, and remembering. "You saved my life," Patty said. "And you made it worth living," Bumpy replied. "By protecting Harlem, by proving cops can be trusted. You changed this neighborhood." "No," Patty said quietly. "We changed it together." On July 7, 1968, Bumpy Johnson died of a heart attack at 63. Patty stood at the funeral in full uniform, alongside Mamie, Junie, Willie, and thousands of Harlemites. Reverend Powell eulogized him. Bumpy Johnson was many things: criminal, protector, leader, friend, but perhaps his greatest legacy is proving that people can change each other, that enemies can become allies, that a black gangster and a white cop can work together for the same goal, protecting a community. Detective Patrick O'Brien is proof of that. Patty cried openly, unashamed. He had lost a friend, a mentor, the man who taught him what it meant to serve. By August 1968, 1 month after Bumpy's death, crime in Harlem began rising again. Drug dealers returned, gangs moved in, violence increased. Patty fought back harder than ever. Bumpy had trusted him to protect Harlem, and he wasn't going to fail. He recruited other officers, taught them Bumpy's lessons, and instilled a new philosophy: build trust, respect the community, protect, don't oppress. Slowly, a new generation of cops emerged, trained by Patty and following his example. By 1970, crime was down, and Harlem was stable once more. Patty hadn't just built a relationship with one man, he had built a system, a way of policing that worked. In December 1976, 20 years after Bumpy saved him, Detective Patrick O'Brien retired at the age of 48, after 22 years of service. Harlem was safer because he had learned from a criminal, trusted his instincts, and proved that doing the right thing mattered more than following orders. His legacy endured, a living testament to the unlikely partnership that changed a neighborhood forever. On the force, Detective Patrick O'Brien's retirement party was held at Small's Paradise. Mamie Johnson, now 68, hosted, still keeping Bumpy's legacy alive. Patty stepped to the microphone. 20 years ago, he began, his voice steady but full of emotion, I was a rookie cop walking a beat in Harlem. I was attacked by 5 men. I would have died if not for Bumpy Johnson. He didn't have to save me. I was a white cop, he was a black criminal. We were supposed to be enemies. But he saved me anyway, and then he taught me. He showed me how to do my job right, how to serve a community instead of controlling it, how to build trust instead of demanding respect. The crowd listened quietly, respectfully. Because of Bumpy, crime in Harlem had dropped and stayed down, not because of aggressive policing, but because of community partnership, because they had worked together. So tonight, Patty continued, I want to thank him. Even though he's not here, I want to thank Bumpy Johnson, for saving my life, and for teaching me how to live it. Mamie stood up and walked over to Patty, handing him an envelope. What's this? He asked. Something Bumpy wrote before he died. He told me to give it to you when you retired. Patty opened it carefully and read aloud, Detective O'Brien, if you're reading this, I'm dead and you've survived. Good, that means I was right about you. 20 years ago, I saved your life, but you saved mine too, by proving that not all cops are enemies, by showing that change is possible, by protecting Harlem when I couldn't anymore. Thank you for being different, for being better, for proving me right. You're not just a good cop, you're a good man, and Harlem is lucky to have you. Bumpy Johnson. Patty folded the letter, slipping it into his pocket, and looked out at the crowd. I'll keep protecting this neighborhood, even in retirement. Because that's what Bumpy would have wanted, and because it's the right thing to do. From 1976 to 1996, Patrick O'Brien lived in Harlem, volunteering, mentoring young cops, working with community organizations, building playgrounds, and starting youth programs. He kept Bumpy's legacy alive. In 1996, the city named a street after him, Officer Patrick O'Brien Way. At the dedication, Patty, now 68, spoke. This honor belongs to Bumpy Johnson, not me. He's the one who taught me. He's the one who believed in me. I just followed his example. Mamie Johnson, now 88, stood beside him. Bumpy would be proud, she said. I hope so. I know so, Patty replied, because I did what he asked. I protected Harlem for 40 years. That's a legacy. In May 2003, Patrick O'Brien died peacefully at home at the age of 75, surrounded by family. His funeral was held at Abyssinian Baptist Church, the same church where Bumpy's funeral had taken place. Over 3,000 people attended, black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian, because Patty had protected them all. Reverend Powell's successor gave the eulogy. Detective Patrick O'Brien proved something important. One person can make a difference, enemies can become friends, and doing the right thing matters more than following orders. He was saved by a criminal and spent his life honoring that gift by protecting the community that criminal loved. That's not just duty, that's devotion. Little Patty O'Brien Jr., now 46, spoke next. My father taught me that heroes come in all colors, that criminals can be honorable, that cops can be corrupt, and that the only thing that matters is what you do with your life. He was saved by Bumpy Johnson and he spent 50 years proving that gift wasn't wasted. Thank you, Dad. And thank you, Bumpy, for saving him so he could save us. If this story of unlikely friendship, mutual respect, and 40 years of protection moved you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you believe enemies can become allies when they share the same goal. Share this with someone who needs to hear about the criminal who saved a cop, and the cop who spent his life honoring that debt. What would you have done in Patty's position? Let me know in the comments. And remember, heroes aren't defined by their titles, they're defined by their actions. Bumpy Johnson and Patrick O'Brien proved that, and together, they changed Harlem forever.